Hey, I'm Chelsea, and in today's video, I'll be going through every single game on my Nintendo Switch. So my Switch is one of the OG Switches. It's from 2017, and I haven't really felt the need to upgrade it in any way. I'm sure having an OLED Switch would bring some quality of life updates like the bigger screen and more processing power, but my Switch has still been going strong, and I haven't really felt the need to replace it. I've customized mine with a vinyl sticker. This one is from Sticky Tech, and putting it on the body was quite easy, and I think it adds such a nice aesthetic to it. I've also customized my Joy-Cons to match. These were definitely a lot trickier to do. I really struggled with the curved edges. I used a blow dryer to try to heat the edges up and get them to lay flat, but just accepted that it wasn't going to be perfect and ended up putting a silicone case on top so that I really couldn't feel that bumpiness. In addition, I also have these custom Joy-Con colors. I got these off of Etsy, and I think that really elevated the aesthetic of my Switch and just makes it really cute to look at. I used to have cute thumb grips to go on the Joy-Con sticks, but based on the size, sometimes they were a little large and limited my ability to rotate the stick fully, so I opted to take them off. And here are all the games I have physical game cartridges for. I want to prioritize buying more physical media in the future. Buying digital copies is obviously very convenient and gets that instant gratification, but I've been thinking a lot about how digital media isn't really ours and can be altered or revoked at any time. So prioritizing having physical media is really important. I'm actually just looking at you, Amazon, for removing our ability to download Kindle books. That's so messed up. But anyways, let's get into my game collection. I've ordered my games based on longest playtime up top. And it's probably gonna really out me, but that's the joy of this, right? So these are all of the games that we'll be talking about today. The games here on this bottom row are games that I haven't played yet, and I am trying to prioritize playing my backlog before buying any new games, so hopefully I will get around to those in the near future. So the first game on this list is Animal Crossing New Horizons. This was my first Animal Crossing game, and boy, did I play the heck out of it. It was really a space of comfort for me. I really played this game like it was my second full-time job during the pandemic. Like, I went and I worked my remote job and I logged off, and then I was playing Animal Crossing with my friends for another 8 hours. I've done a video doing a tour of my island, so I'd love if you go check it out. Next up on the list is The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. This was another game that I poured all of my free time into. I really enjoyed Tears of the Kingdom more than Breath of the Wild, which might be a hot take. I haven't really heard a lot of people say that, but I think it was just the timing of the game and where it ended up in my life. I was really looking forward to playing Tears of the Kingdom, and I really wanted to play as much of the game without getting anything spoiled for me, so I just stayed offline and did everything on my own. I had spent a lot of time mapping out the entire depths and every island in the sky. I wanted to complete every single shrine. It just really captivated me, and the story might not be the strongest, especially in comparison to something as revolutionary as Breath of the Wild was, but I still had such a blast playing it. Next up, we have Suika Game. Now, to be honest, most of these hours are not my own. When Suika Game came out, I was living at home with my parents, and I showed my mom Suika Game and let her borrow my Switch, and she poured in so much time into this game. It was really kind of the niche of games that she really enjoys to play. And I just thought Suika Game is such a fun little game that also can enrage you so easily. That QT music really tricks you into thinking it's a chill game when it really isn't. But it's really high up here on my list, mostly because I shared this game with my mom. The next game is Disney's Dreamlight Valley. To be honest, I haven't been back at this game for a couple of months now, but I still really love the idea of this game. I will say that the performance on Switch is quite laggy, and I've heard that playing it on PC or other consoles that are more beefy really help mitigate this, but I have been playing it on Switch and could not imagine restarting on a different console, and I don't think I like it that much to want to move away from the convenience of my Switch. I've been thinking about getting the DLC because I am a huge fan of Rapunzel. So if you've played the DLC and think it's worth it, let me know down below and maybe I'll get it too. After that, we have Hades. Hades is a game that really surprised me in the best way. It's a roguelike, meaning that you play through a level, and if you die at the end of it, you have to restart to the beginning, which can be very frustrating, especially if you are having a hard time understanding the mechanics of a game. But the game is built for you to make progressions in the storyline every time you return to the underworld. So it made me feel a little less bad for failing a run, knowing that I was going to be able to progress the story in some interesting way. The art style, the music, the storytelling, the Greek mythological references, like all of it is so fantastic. It took me about 40 runs before I finally beat Hades, and after that I kind of plateaued. I didn't play it as much after that point because I felt like I had accomplished like the one big task of the game, but I knew that I hadn't completed the storyline yet, and I was getting a little stuck trying to progress with the different weapons until I started watching Halion. Halion is a Hades speedrunner who really showed me the potential of different weapon combinations, and I followed a couple build videos to figure out the best ways to basically maximize my runs. It became a lot more fun for me, and I was able to progress the main storyline so much further. I'm really excited for the full release of Hades 2. I haven't been playing early access because I wanted to savor the entire experience once the full game came out. The next game is one of my favorites, and it's Spiritfarer. Spiritfarer is a game that deals with death, loss, and grief, but in really human and empathetic ways. You play as Stella, who is responsible for ferrying off spirits to Death's door, and you get to explore all these different relationships with the characters, especially the different ways that they react to knowing that the end is near. It's also a management game where you are building up your ship and collecting resources. There's cooking and collecting, and it was really just a beautiful game that encompassed everything that I love in a really great game. I replayed it for the third time a couple months ago, and it had been a couple of years since my first two playthroughs, and the emotions still hit me right to the core, and I cried all over again. Up next is Cozy Grove. Cozy Grove is a game where you play as a little camper who is on a haunted island as you are meeting different ghosts and spirits and trying to help them come to peace. It is a resource collecting, crafting, decorating kind of game. The game is built to give you 20 minutes of tasks daily, so you always have a little bit of something to look forward to every day. When I played this game, that wasn't enough for me, and so I ended up time traveling in order to progress through the story faster. Be warned if you decide to do this, if you reopen the game at the present time after you've moved forward, it will break the game. But a really cute and cozy game with a little bit of performance issues on the Switch, so be prepared for a couple of crashes. After that, we have Breath of the Wild. I don't have as many fond memories playing Breath of the Wild. The thing that actually really got me to love Breath of the Wild was all of these different YouTubers and speedrunners push the limits of the game to its maximum. And I really enjoyed what people were able to do in Breath of the Wild and watch all of these crazy challenges that came out of it. So my memories of Breath of the Wild are not really of my own experience, but of watching really excellent people play. Next up is Overcooked 2. I love Overcooked. I love the chaos and stress that it brings to different groups of people that you're playing with. I have played this with my brother, and we have beaten the game multiple times over. I have played it with people who don't like playing this game, and it's really fun to see them crumble under the stress. I can't say that. And so I think for me, it's interesting. I really love this game, but I haven't found many people who love it as much as I do. So when I do find people who love it, it feels like a treat. A couple years ago, I got to play through the whole game with two of my best friends. They don't play that many games, so I was really surprised that they were interested in playing this, but we were able to do it, and it was super, super fun. And we did really well. We got 3 stars and everything. What a treat this game is. If this is a litmus test for the type of person that I am, well, I've just exposed myself, so. The next game in my collection is Super Mario Odyssey. It's been 6 years since I first played this game. I remember loving it and just how novel it was to play a 3D Mario game. I haven't played any of the other games like Super Mario Galaxy or Sunshine, so Odyssey was just really cool and special to me. But this is another one of those games where watching people who are really good at the game totally expanded my love for it. There's a whole community of streamers who play modded Super Mario Odyssey multiplayer and play hide and seek, and I've been watching their content for the last couple of years, and it is always such a treat to me. One, to see how excellent they are at the game, because a lot of them were speedrunners for this game, but just like the chaos and the relationships and the shenanigans that they get up to in those videos have really put Odyssey as one of my favorite games of all time, but not because I personally loved playing it as much as I've enjoyed watching other people play. Up next is Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight is a platforming game, and I knew going into it that it was a little bit challenging, but I didn't know the extent to which it was going to be difficult. My one core memory from playing Hollow Knight was that I accidentally fell into Deep Nest without Lantern, and I was just wandering around for so long trying to figure out where was I, how do I get out of here, and why I kept getting attacked by these giant worm things. Hollow Knight is another one of those games where watching speedrunners and pro Hollow Knight players really expanded my love and joy for the game. I've really enjoyed watching Fireborn's videos with his different challenges, especially the Hunter versus Speedrunner challenges. So if you love Hollow Knight and you haven't watched his content, I think you would enjoy it a lot. I'm also excited for Silksong to eventually come out, and I know it's been a long time coming, but as long as the game is good upon release, I really don't care how long it'll take. Next is Forager. It's been a couple years since I've played Forager, but it is an action-adventure game. It has a pixelated art style that kind of reminds me of the classic Zelda games, and you can do anything in this game. There's combat, there's mining, there's crafting, and if you're looking for a game that's easy to 100% without looking up a guide, then this game is for you. Up next is Sea of Stars. Sea of Stars is an adventure RPG that I really enjoyed. I often feel quite intimidated to start RPGs because it feels like a huge time commitment, and often RPG mechanics can get really complex really quickly, but this was much more accessible and not as daunting at all. I really enjoyed the story, and the music and the art was beautiful, so yeah, if you're looking for an easy entry into RPGs, then I highly recommend this one. Now we're on to The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. Another really fun adventure RPG. I loved this game. I loved the echo mechanic and the flexible problem solving that reminded me of Breath of the Wild. I loved how easy the map was to explore, and finding all of the shrines and all of the Stamp Guys stands was always such a treat. And yeah, this was just a really fun game. Another cozy little adventure game if you're looking for something to get lost into. This was definitely one of my favorite games from last year. Next up is Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. I'm not the biggest Pokemon fan. I have dabbled in a lot of different Pokemon games. I've only finished a couple of them, but Let's Go Eevee was a really cute Pokemon game that I didn't have to take too seriously. Is it the most robust Pokemon game? No. But if you're looking for a game to run around and catch Pokemon and not have it be so serious, then I think this is a solid choice. Up next, we have Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I am not a good Smash Bros. Player. I usually play as Kirby, and I will down B everybody in my path. But Ultimate was pretty fun, and I really enjoyed the story of it from what I can remember. It's been quite a number of years since I played this, but it's kind of in the middle of my list in terms of hours played, so I guess I liked it. Next up is Dave the Diver. Now, this game is like a blend of a lot of different games. It has ocean exploration and fishing mechanics. You also take the fish that you caught and serve them up in your sushi restaurant, so it's also a restaurant simulator game. There are very interesting, eclectic characters that add a lot of color to the story and make for some really funny interactions. And I love that this game really did the most when it came to some animations. But overall, as interesting as this game was, I think something about it wasn't really my favorite. Maybe it was by the time I got to the end of the game, there were so many different mechanics that I needed to take care of that it felt a little overwhelming. But overall, I would recommend this game if you're looking for something a little novel to play. Next up, we have Pokemon Shield. I don't remember anything about this game, and I know I didn't finish it, and I know that made my partner a little bit sad because I said that I would play it with him. Sorry to my husband. Next is Mineko's Night Market. I have beef with Mineko's Night Market. It was a game I was really looking forward to when it was released. The story and the art style were really cute and heartfelt, but there were so many parts of the game that were glitchy and broken, and at one point you couldn't even get to the final game sequence because it would glitch out, and they did eventually fix that, so I was able to complete the game, but I honestly wish I hadn't because I think I ended up grinding a lot of time, not out of motivation, but only out of spite to beat that game. So this is why I feel very strongly that I'm okay with games getting postponed if it means that the development team can have more time really perfecting the game and making sure it's actually playable upon release. Up next is Cult of the Lamb. Cult of the Lamb is a roguelike where you spend some time in some underground levels collecting resources and gaining willing followers and then indoctrinating them into your cult at your home base. I enjoyed this game, but not as much as I thought I was going to. I am a big Binding of Isaac lover, and I've loved that game for many years now, and I was really excited to have a game that was similar to Binding of Isaac but added this other element of cult mechanics. How would you describe that? At least for me personally, I felt like the balance between caring for my cult and going into the underground levels to collect resources was kind of lopsided. I would only go collect resources when absolutely necessary. I think the concept of this game was beautifully executed, and I know it has such a huge following. But for me personally, in terms of game design, it wasn't necessarily the greatest. Next up is one of my favorite puzzle games that I've played in a long time, and it's Tunic. Tunic is a game where you're learning to play the game by exploring the world and finding missing game manual pages that will literally tell you how to play the game. You're really just uncovering the story of this world and your purpose in it, while also learning different skills and techniques for how to survive the world that you're in. It's one of those games where the less you know about the game going into it, the better. This game has so many different layers that get unraveled. I literally can't believe the extent to which I was impressed and astounded by this game. So I can't recommend Tunic enough. If you haven't played it, you really need to play it. Up next, we have Heaven's Vault. After I finished playing Tunic, I was really itching to get lost in another puzzle game of that caliber, and while I was exploring online, I found out about Heaven's Vault. It's a game where you are an archaeologist traveling to different planets and uncovering an old language. And as you continue to find phrases and decrypt them, you build up this repository of words and definitions that allow you to decrypt even more mysteries. It's a really interesting game in concept, but the gameplay loop gets a little bit repetitive, and overall, I just didn't enjoy this game as much as I thought I was going to. So honestly, this one is a pass for me. Up next is Super Mario Party Jamboree. I've really been enjoying playing Jamboree. I think the minigames are super fun and the gameplay is super chaotic.
No! Oh, gosh.
Oh my god, oh my god. Oh no!
I think you both
I think we tied.
Oh, let's see.
No, I got a little bit more. I think I got a little bit more.
Let's see.
Oh my god. Honestly, just a really solid Mario Party game, though quite expensive. So if you have a friend who has it, maybe you can wait to play together. To piggyback off of that, I also have the other Mario Party game for Switch, and I honestly don't remember anything about it since I've been playing so much Jamboree. I feel like Mario Party games are pretty solid nonetheless. They're really easy to pick up, have a little game sesh, and then have a good time. Staying in the Mario universe, I also have Mario Kart 8, and I would say I'm a pretty novice Mario Kart player. I've definitely played with people who are actually good at the game, and they decimate me every single time. I'm honestly really impressed by their skill set, and usually that motivates me to want to put in more effort into a game, but I think because I play Mario Kart so irregularly that investment kind of feels lost, and every time I come back to that game, I literally forget how to play, like how to throw items. Up next is Fez. Fez is a puzzle game that's been out for a while now, but was recently released on Switch. And boy, is it a challenging one. Like, much more challenging than Tunic was for me. And I think that's a common consensus because there are forums about Fez, and it took years for some people to finally figure out the solutions to some of the puzzles. So I wish I waited a little while after playing Tunic to jump into this game when I had more mental capacity, because I ended up looking up quite a number of the solutions when I got really stuck. Now we're on to Dredge. Dredge is an exploration game where you play as a fisherman exploring the unsettling and unknown waters. And you're trying to uncover the different mysteries in these different places. This was a game that I wasn't expecting to like as much as I did, but boy, is it a fun one. I don't do the best with games that have scary elements to them. I can be very jumpy, but I found ways to work around them and push past my fear in order to complete the game. If you love Lovecraftian horror, then this game is right up your alley. Up next is Strange Horticulture. In this game, you play as a botanist who is identifying different plant varieties while also serving the villagers who come into your shop as they are looking for cures to the different illnesses. There is a really interesting subplot that happens throughout the game that you can make different decisions about, and the ending is quite fascinating. I think this is a perfect game to play over a weekend. Next up, I have Wingspan. Wingspan is originally a board game, but they've also made a version for Switch. It's a game that mimics bird watching and has these really interesting bird facts and really fun gameplay. I highly recommend that if you have this version of the game, that you check out the board game itself. It's really beautiful. Next, I have The Return of the Obra Dinn. In this game, you are investigating what happened to the ship called the Obra Dinn, which has mysteriously returned to port with none of its crew or passengers still aboard. Be warned, it is a little bit spooky, but it is an excellent detective game that requires you to make some pretty interesting judgment calls in order to figure out what happened. This game was another one of my favorites from last year, and I highly recommend it. Next, we have Sprout Valley. Sprout Valley is a low-stakes adventure game with farming and crafting and cooking, but I honestly think I missed the point of this game because I poured in a decent amount of hours into it and never really understood my objective. And the objective that I was given was really difficult to attain, so I did not finish this game. Up next, we have Palia, which is an open-world MMORPG, and the performance on this game also was not really great on Switch, which definitely influenced my enjoyment of playing it. I also realized that I'm not so big of a fan of MMORPGs. I've heard a lot of people really love this game, so if that's you, then don't let me change your mind about that. Now we have Tetris 99. What a fun way to reinvent a game by making it a competitive multiplayer game. I haven't played this in quite a while, but I do remember it being really stressful. So if you're looking to get into Tetris, then maybe this is the way that you'd like to play it. Up next is A Short Hike. This is a cute 3D isometric game where you are playing as a camper during summer camp. There really isn't anything to say other than to just enjoy the journey of this game. If you're looking for something that you can play in a day, then this is definitely one of those games. Up next is Fall Guys, and Fall Guys is quite a popular game. I'm definitely not a Fall Guys pro player, but I really enjoy getting online with friends every once in a while and just dicking around in this game. Now we're on to MySims Kingdom. I got the MySims Cozy Bundle a few months ago, and I attempted to play MySims, but found the controller mapping to be not intuitive and kind of dizzying. But I did play MySims Kingdom for the first time and progressed through a couple of the islands and thought it was really cute, but really haven't gone back to it since. So take with that what you will. I got influenced because of nostalgia for sure. The next game is Haven Park. If you loved A Short Hike, then I think you'll also love Haven Park. It has pretty similar vibes, summer campy, exploration, isometric, so honestly another solid little cozy game. Next up, we have Story of Seasons, Friends of Mineral Town. Now, I have this game in Japanese. And I got this while I was living in Japan because I really wanted to, one, play this game, and two, practice my Japanese. But I realized that my Japanese comprehension at the time was not good enough to even play this game. I think I'll get around to it because I think my Japanese is a lot better now. And I have been wanting to get into the Story of Seasons worlds because I played Harvest Moon and I love Stardew Valley. So maybe one day. Up next is Lemon Cake. Lemon Cake is a restaurant management game where you are running a bakery. I thought the aesthetic of this game was really cute, but I found the gameplay itself to be a little clunky, so I didn't make it very far into this game. Next is Down in Bermuda. This game is a 3D isometric puzzle game, kind of similar in vibe to Monument Valley if you've played that on mobile. And it's a really fun puzzle game where you're exploring different islands, trying to make your way out of the Bermuda Triangle. This puzzle game is not too challenging and you could definitely play it in a day or two. Up next is What Remains of Edith Finch. This game isn't really a game, but more so an interactive visual novel, but that doesn't mean that it's not fantastic. We follow Edith as she returns to her family home, and she is exploring the different stories of her family members who have all passed. It has a really big emotional impact, so if you're looking to get lost in a story with minimal effort from your part, then this game is for you. Now we're on to Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memories. This game is in the Kingdom Hearts universe, which is a mix of Disney and Final Fantasy, and the story is really difficult to explain, so that's where I'll leave it at. This game, Melody of Memories, is a rhythm game that takes all of the songs from the different Kingdom Hearts games and kind of recaps the story so far. I have only played through a handful of the levels, but it's a game that's easy to put down and come back to later on, so I'm excited to get back into it. Now we're on to Big Brain Academy. I remember playing so much Big Brain Academy on my DS when I was a kid, so I was really excited that there was a version that came out on Switch. Me, my brother, and my partner got this for Christmas for my mom because she was also a big fan of these games, and it was just so much chaos being at home and playing this game multiplayer. I think I would love to go back and really explore this game more in the future. I have to borrow it from my mom though. The last game that I've played in my collection is Pacman 99. Similar to Tetris 99, it takes a classic arcade game and makes it multiplayer competitive. I'm also not very good at this game and I didn't put that much time into it, but if you love Pac-Man, then I think this is worth checking out. So my last handful of games here are games that are in my backlog but I haven't played yet, and I just wanted to give you a brief overview. We have Portal and Portal 2, which technically I have played the Portal series before, but I saw these on sale during Black Friday and wanted a backup game that I knew was really solid, so we'll get to those eventually. I also have Klonoa Fantasy Reverie series. I remember playing Klonoa as a kid and got really excited when I saw this on Switch, so I will let you know if I get to it or not. Next in my backlog is Crypt of the Necrodancer. This was a game recommendation from my brother, and I got it a while ago and I haven't played it yet, so sorry to him. Next up, we have Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch. Now that I've had a RPG to ease myself into the world of JRPGs, I am looking forward to when I have the bandwidth to commit myself to Ni no Kuni because I've heard it's fantastic. Finally, we have Story of Seasons, Pioneers of Olive Town, and I am just now realizing that I have 2 Story of Seasons games to get through, so yeah, that's going to be interesting for me. Hopefully I like them. And that's every game I have in my Nintendo Switch collection. I was looking at this list and thought that it wasn't that many, but now having to recall all of them and my experiences with those games, it definitely feels like a lot. Again, I've had my Switch since 2017, so it's been 8 years of games that I've had, and my relationship to gaming often fluctuates. I have periods where I play a lot of games and periods where I'm not really gaming too much, so this was definitely a reflection of that. If you have any Switch games that you really recommend, I'd love to know what they are, or if you have experience with any of the games that I've played, let me know down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video. Bye!